So we're on the draw here. Gonna keep. This hand is a bit sketchy because just a lot of card draw. Looks like we're up against Tron. So we would really like to find something like a Goblin Electromancer or a Baral here. And unfortunately, Scalding Tarn, obviously not what we wanted. Just going to go ahead and get a Steam Vents and Serum Visions. Alright, so we drew an Electromancer immediately. So I'm just going to actually now bottom that Baral. Because we still are pretty far off from being able to go off. We need something like a Gifts or more card draw. But or a Past in Flames, but we would love a Gifts and Given. Feel like that's every single game with this deck though. We do have the Sleight of Hand still, so we can dig deeper into our deck. But it looks like we're playing against the big Tron deck, not Eldrazi Tron. So I like cracking the fetches here just to thin the deck out. Makes us a little bit slightly less likely to draw a land, which obviously we don't want to draw more lands at this point. So let's see. Hopefully our opponent does not have the Mine. Okay, good. Our opponent doesn't have Urza's Mine, but it looks like this could be a Collective Brutality maybe. That would be pretty bad news, because our opponent is on the black-green version of this deck. Looks like our opponent's getting ready to Collective Brutality us, unfortunately. And there is the Brutality. Pretty fortunate there to pick up another Electromancer. Let's continue the deck thinning. Sleight of Hand for Sleight of Hand. How about that? If our opponent has another Brutality, it's probably just game, but I don't think we can afford to play around too much at this point. Don't have a lot going for us. So it looks like we're still dodging that Urza's Mine here. And there's a Gifts Ungiven. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and cast the Gifts now. Well, we really want card draw, plus we want Past in Flames. So I'm going to go for Past in Flames for sure. We would also like some form of Mana Acceleration. Manamorphose fits that bill. So we'll see what our opponent gives us here. Actually letting our opponent choose between another Gifts, Metamorphose, Past in Flames, and Serum Visions. I don't think we'll be able to go off this turn, so I'm fine with ensuring we'll have a good amount of gas for next turn. And the Past in Flames means that kind of no matter what, we'll be able to do quite a bit with these spells. It looks like our opponent's mulling it over a little bit. So we're going to get the two big spells, not too much of a surprise. Gifts and the Past in Flames. And go ahead and grab this Pyretic Ritual. So assuming our opponent doesn't disrupt us this turn, we should be in a good spot for next turn. Okay, so just Oblivion Stone. That's good news. So we can start kind of going off a little bit here. Just going to cast these rituals. It's going to put us up to 5 mana. Then we get to Gifts. And at this point, we do want the additional mana. And Grapeshot to finish our opponent off as well. So we're going to give our opponent a little bit of a choice here, but I think no matter what, we should be able to win this game. Even if those rituals get put in the graveyard, which it looks like our opponent's just going to give us 2 rituals here. Interesting. So we can go ahead and cast them. And go ahead and Past in Flames. Now we can just start using these rituals that are in our graveyard. Cast the Metamorphose. And that's going to give us the blue mana that we were looking for to be able to cast the Serum Visions and the Sleight of Hands. And all the while, our storm count is just going up. We're already at 11 storm. So we should be able to get all the way to where we need to be pretty quickly. And go ahead and cast one of these Gifts and Givens. And yeah, we're just kind of looking for more spells. It doesn't matter too much what we choose at this point. We're just looking to get up to that 20 number for that Grapeshot that's in our graveyard. And we can flash back. And it looks like our opponent's continuing to give us these rituals. Perfectly fine. Cast this Metamorphose out of hand. Now we have a remand just in case something funky happens. And, yep, more than enough to go for this Grapeshot now. And this should do it. The black-green deck doesn't typically have that much. Most of their disruption is discard, brutality. We see O-Stone, but also a little bit fortunate that our opponent never got to Tron. And because we knew about that Karn, so yep. Pretty straightforward there. Our opponent couldn't really do too much about what we were up to. So, in terms of sideboarding, we should be a little bit worried about Relic of Progenitus. At the same time, I don't really like the Empty the Wands plan because of Oblivion Stone. I'm okay with Pieces of the Puzzle. So I don't think we change up what we're doing that much. Yeah, if our opponent plays a Relic, it's going to obviously make things tougher because Relic shuts off Past in Flames. So that's a reason to want Empty. Alright, I'm kind of coaxing myself to board back in a couple of Empty the Warrens here. So I guess since we want empties, we just take out a couple sleight of hands. Pretty big fan of Pieces of the Puzzle after sideboard. The reason being is, say we need to go on the empty plan, it helps us find the empties. Does a lot for us. And multiple storm spells in hand. Normally you really only want one, but we are going to keep this in. Serum Visions is going to hopefully do a lot of work in terms of setting up our draws. And I think we want the Metamorphose here and the Desperate Ritual. Yeah, I think we want both. We can try to power out a quick Empty the Warrens and win that way. Alright, there's Ugin getting revealed, so that's another card that can wipe away our Empty the Warrens tokens. So we have the option here of spending both of our rituals, but I think we want to hold off on doing that. So next turn we can make 5 mana at the moment. We would really like to be able to splice on these Desperate Rituals to one another. But unfortunately, it looks like our opponent has access to Tron. So that's going to kind of... If our opponent gets that Ugin down, it essentially nullifies the Empty the Warrens plan. So this turn we could empty the Warrens for a bunch. But it's not going to really do us anything, do us any good. So I'm just going to pass the turn instead. And there's Ugin, so that's going to tick up. And we really need some help if we're going to win this one. Alright, we might as well start using these Manamorphoses, see what we can find. There's a Gifts Ungiven. It's not bad. I am going to go ahead and cast it. And then try to set up to win next turn, potentially. So, we want to stock up our graveyard with spells alongside Past in Flames. We would like Baral or Goblin Electromancer, but it's pretty unlikely that our opponent would actually give us either of those cards if we put them in a pile. So I think we want Serum Visions, Past in Flames, Manamorphose, and then a Ritual, and we'll just give our opponent the decision. So most likely we are going to get that Past in Flames put into our hand, because that's the card it's still going to be effective from the graveyard. Even if our opponent puts it in the graveyard, we can just flash it back. So yeah, it's going to be Serum Visions and Past in Flames. And unfortunately we do need to discard a card here. So I'm going to discard the Empty the Warrens. And of course, next turn our opponent has the ability to ultimate Ugin and really potentially put the game out of reach that way. So we're hoping for nothing like a Collective Brutality. Would be pretty annoying. But our hand's pretty resilient to that. So here's a Worm Coil, okay. Another win condition. But it's pretty much now or never, so go ahead, search up an island here. I think we want to start by splicing these Desperate Rituals onto each other to get some mana Get the mana flowing, although we might as well... Yeah, we might as well do that first. So that's going to get us up to 6 mana. Now we can Manamorphose to get some blue in our mana pool. We actually are pretty fortunate there to have drawn another Desperate Ritual. So we can put this Goblin Electromancer on top of our deck. And that's going to set us up really nicely once we do end up casting this Past in Flames. So we are finally going to Past in Flames. And I like casting the Serum Visions now. Although... Well, we definitely want to draw the Electromancer that we know is on top of our deck. And another 2 good ones on top. I'm just going to put the Pyretic Ritual, though, on top. And we can start to go off with this Electromancer in play. Cast all these rituals. Get plenty of mana. And yep, we're gonna win this game. Just a matter of getting up to that critical storm count. Although now we drew the remand, so we can remand our own Grapeshot and just win that way. So that's one cool trick with this deck. And of course we're not going to be redirecting it all to the Ugin. So yeah, I really like having Remand. It's only a 2 of in this list, but it serves an important role. And our opponent, even though they see that they are dead, are making us go through the motions here. It's fine. We're not going to mess this up. And Tron traditionally is quite a good matchup for Storm. Especially this version, we didn't see cards like Chalice or Relic of Progenitus at all. And this is gonna do it.